Election Day is just 11 days away.
Stand by to meet the candidates.
This original program is provided as a public service by WSRE, the League of Women Voters, and Pensacola State College.
Good evening and welcome to Rally 2012. I'm Drexel Gilbert with WSRE TV.
And I'm Sandra Averhart with WUWF Public Media.
Now, this is the second of two nights of election coverage on WSRE TV, PBS for the Gulf Coast.
Rally 2012 allows you the opportunity to meet candidates from races in Escambia, Santa Rosa, and Okaloosa counties. Last night, we also met candidates for U.S. Congress District 1.
Now, we know that a lot of you were with us for the primary election edition of Rally 2012 in July. Well, that election decided a majority of local races, but certainly not all of them. Here's a preview of the races you will see on tonight's general election edition of Rally.
We will begin this evening with the race for Okaloosa County Commission District 1. We will then move to Santa Rosa County for contests for Sheriff and School Board District 4.
Then we head to Escambia County in the races for Escambia County Commission Districts 1, 3, and 5 and ECUA District 1.
Now, if you missed last night's Rally edition or you would like to watch any parts of these two nights again, you will be able to find them online at WSRE.org beginning tomorrow night. And of course, both nights of Rally will be online for your review as we march toward Election Day on November 6th.
Now, the questions for the candidates this evening have been provided to us by the League of Women Voters, Pensacola Bay Area, and Okaloosa County.
The candidates have not seen the questions. They will have 45 seconds to respond. Now, following the question and answer session, each candidate will have an additional 45 seconds to deliver a closing statement.
And now it's time to get started with the questions for the candidates. We are going again to begin this evening with a race for Okaloosa County Commission District 1. There are two candidates in this race, a Republican and a Democrat. One of those candidates, Ronald Connor, was unable to attend. The other candidate, Wayne Harris, is with us tonight. He is the Republican incumbent candidate, and Mr. Connor is the Democratic challenger. And Mr. Harris, we welcome you tonight to Rally.
Thank you, and thank you for inviting me to this evening, and thanks to the League of Women Voters and to WSRE for allowing me to be here.
All right, we will start with the questions now. And the first question this evening, Mr. Harris, with budgets as tight as they are, what ideas do you have for funding the maintenance and replacement of the county's aging infrastructure and for dealing with such critical public works issues as stormwater management and road improvements? You have 45 seconds, sir.
Thank you. Excellent question. One of the things that I think is important is that we've got to look at very creative ways to cut spending on what I consider frivolous or in some cases quality of life issues. Although quality of life issues are great, I think it's important that we concentrate on the things that actually we need to keep our county running. I've always said that if you have a house and you go out to eat on a regular basis but your roof is leaking, you're doing something wrong, and that's kind of where I stand on that issue. We need to spend our monies effectively on the things that are absolutely necessary for our citizens.
All right, thank you. Question number 2 tonight. Recent misuse of bed tax receipts has led, among other things, to questions about effective use of the Tourism Development Council. What do you consider to be the appropriate role of the council now and in the future?
Well, that was a sad environment for all of us. We were all victims in that issue, and there's no doubt that the previous TDC director was a thief and unfortunately a coward by committing suicide. However, the purpose of the TDC is very, very necessary for our county to bring folks that are from other places into our community for leisure, for resort activities and things that absolutely will bring dollars to the community for economic development. And I think it's absolutely important that we, the county, and I think I'm the only one that said this so far, is we've got to provide the oversight. And shame on us for not providing that oversight as it was, but now a leader is required to provide that oversight.
All right, thank you. We head now into question number 3, and again, this is the Okaloosa County Commission District 1 race. What is your opinion of the process for listing local projects that may be carried out with anticipated penalty funds allocated to the county under the provisions of the Restore Act and related state law?
Well, I think the whole Restore Act was geared towards allowing the local governments to do what they know is best for the spending of their money. And I think, unfortunately, there's going to be maybe some changes either from in Florida, the legislator may be changing some of the rules on how we spend the money. And then also I understand the DOJ is involved now with respect to maybe changing it to the NERDA funds.
All right, thank you. We're going to ask question number 4 now, and if you are just joining us, this is Rally 2012. We are posing questions this evening that were given to us by the League of Women Voters of Okaloosa County to the County Commission District 1 race. There are 2 candidates in this race. The Democratic challenger, Ronald Connor, was unable to attend. The Republican incumbent, Wayne Harris, is with us tonight. Mr. Harris, we now have the 4th question for you this evening. As a follow-up to the question I just asked about the Restore Act, what project would you like to see at the top of the project list that is finally approved?
Well, I think infrastructure is absolutely imperative. You talked earlier about stormwater and transportation issues. Understand that part of what hurt us is the lack of population or people coming to the county, to the resort areas, and to get people effectively to those resort areas and to the beaches, we've got to have great transportation corridors for them. We've got to have great facilities, and we got to make up for the lack of stormwater that we have. I think it's imperative that local counties or local governments control them funds because they know what is best for the local areas.
All right, thank you, sir. And now to question number 5. What additional county initiatives would you support to help attract employers who can offer jobs that match the skills, the training, and the education of Okaloosa County residents? And you have 45 seconds.
Thank you. We are very fortunate to have probably the best workforce, just like a lot of the communities along the Gulf Coast here because of our military background. So we've got a plethora of people with great ethics and great backgrounds in science and technology and education and things like this. But I think incentives are absolutely imperative. Our closest neighbor, which is Alabama, basically gives away the farm. We can't go that far and mortgage our future, but I think it's imperative that we find ways to incentivize those businesses that come here and stay here and create jobs, especially those that are targeted industries like aerospace and maybe allied health sciences, and give them incentives that will allow them to open their doors to a lot of different people and keep the employees going.
All right, thank you. There are 2 more questions for this candidate. This is question number 6. If revenue shortfalls require additional spending cuts, what are your priorities for further trimming?
I spoke earlier on the roof of the house and going out to eat. We need absolutely the infrastructural needs, the essential services, and those things that people cannot provide for themselves. However, to me, quality of life issues are important, but they're not paramount in my mind. We have to cover things like infrastructure, transportation needs. We have to cover things like essential services and public safety.
All right, thank you. And the final question for you now, Mr. Harris. The county participates in several groups dealing with issues considered to be best handled on a regional basis. What are your views on the way regional issues are being handled today?
I think, unfortunately, too many people get parochial in their vision when it comes to different counties and different communities. I think regionalization is the future of us, especially in the Panhandle. We had a program we started, and I was part of the starting process of that a long time ago as the Chamber of Commerce Director, Florida's Great Northwest. And I think it's imperative that we regionalize our resources. You've got a lot of different activities in Escambia, Santa Rosa, Walton, and the other areas all the way over to Bay that I think it's absolutely imperative that we band together and show strength of unity in those processes.
All right, thank you. And that's it for the questions for Okaloosa County Commission District 1, the questions provided to us by the Okaloosa County League of Women Voters. And Mr. Harris, you may now deliver your closing statement, and you have 45 seconds to do so.
Well, first of all, again, thank you both for allowing me to be here, and thank WSRE and the League of Women Voters. We appreciate that very much. I know it's been a great treat for me, but I'm gonna refer to what I said 4 years ago when I ran, which is my goals are public safety and security, essential services, infrastructure, and things that are absolutely imperative that I believe government is supposed to be responsible for. Those things that citizens can't provide for themselves. I'm a true conservative a fiscal conservative, and I want to make sure that your tax dollars are spent wisely and efficiently. And I thank you for the opportunity to be here.
All right, thank you, Mr. Harris. And once again, if you are just joining us, that was Okaloosa County Commission District 1, Republican incumbent Wayne Harris. The Democratic challenger, Ronald Connor, was unable to be with us this evening.
Well, Drexel, we are just getting started. There is much more to come on tonight's edition of Rally, including information from the League of Women Voters on the proposed constitutional amendments that will be on the ballot, as well as an explanation of the matter of merit retention for judges.
We are going to take a brief pause now to give you information on how the voting process for Okaloosa County works, and when we return, 2 Santa Rosa County races take center stage. You're watching Rally 2012 on WSRE TV. There are 3 ways to cast a ballot in Okaloosa County: by mail, early voting, or at your precinct on Election Day. To vote by mail, contact the Okaloosa County Supervisor of Elections office. You can write, phone, fax, email, or log on to their website. Ballots must reach the Supervisor of Elections offices by 7 p.m. on Election Day. Early voting takes place from Saturday, October 27th through Saturday, November 3rd at the 4 locations listed on your screen. Hours for early voting are 7 a.m. until 7 p.m. On the day of the general election, Tuesday, November 6th, voting takes place at your polling location from 7 a.m. until 7 p.m. You must vote in the precinct in which you live and are registered. Make sure you take along a photo and a signature ID with you. And welcome back to Rally 2012 on WSRE TV. I'm Drexel Gilbert.
And I'm Sandra Averhart, and we are ready now to continue with questions for candidates who are on the November 6th ballot. Next up this evening is the race for sheriff in Santa Rosa County. There are 2 candidates, a Republican incumbent and a challenger who is running with no party affiliation. That challenger is Chris Roper, and Mr. Roper was unable to attend Rally tonight, so Wendell Hall will be receiving the questions that come to us from the League of Women Voters, Pensacola Bay Area. Mr. Hall, welcome.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.
All right. We'll begin. Our first question for you this evening. There is some sense in the public that the stand your ground law in Florida is abused. What is your experience with this law?
Well, we haven't had a really stand your ground situation in Santa Rosa County. However, you know, people have always had the right to defend themselves. Of course, the stand your ground law extended that right beyond the walls of your house, into even into your automobile and into your yard or into the street. I think as long as it's necessary to use deadly force to defend yourself against serious bodily harm or possible death, I think a person should have that right. There are some individuals out there that are possibly using it a little excessively, or they use it to fall back on. So okay. I certainly think it should be used. It's a good law, but it should be used appropriately.
Okay. Just want to remind you that 45 seconds is what you have for your responses. Our next question is, with the increased population in Santa Rosa County, what major problem does this create for the Sheriff's Office?
Well, we've had a tremendous growth in the past 12 years since I've been sheriff. The county's grown about 40%. It has been a challenge. It's been a challenge to keep up with the needs and provide the services at the level that we like to provide them. Of course, we were also, because of hard economic times, we had to make a lot of adjustments, and we made those adjustments. But we still have a wonderful county. We have one of the safest counties in the state of Florida. We're very aggressive when it comes to controlling drugs in our county, and drugs are the roots of most crimes. So it is a huge challenge for us with the growth, and we expect more growth, but we have been able to contain it.
All right. Our next question for our candidate for sheriff in Santa Rosa County. He's the incumbent, Wendell Hall. This question, given the financial irregularity in an adjacent county, what internal controls do you have or would you implement to avoid malfeasance in the sheriff's office in Santa Rosa?
We have those already in place. Everybody in my financial director, there's always checks and balances. Even myself, you know, even though my signature is on the checks that leave there, there's always someone checking behind another person, so it would be impossible for that to happen in our county.
All right, thank you. Our next question for Wendell Hall. How would you increase the visibility of the sheriff's office or sheriff's deputies within the county, given the current budget of the sheriff's office?
Well, we've had to do more with less, and we did have to make some cuts in personnel, but because of our scheduling, and we base our times of our hours that we work, and we double our shifts, and when we need high visibility, when our crime rate and our calls for service go up, so we certainly through changing schedules and through even some overtime, we're able to meet the demand, but we have definitely, we've had to make some changes and we've met the challenge, but it has been a challenge.
All right, thank you. The war on drugs has lasted more than 40 years with no resolution. Can you suggest any new method for dealing with the drug problem?
Well, I would like to see at the federal level, now I'm not talking about the DEA and I'm not talking about local federal agents that we work very closely with, and they do a very good job. But I think from the federal government and in Washington, I think they could do a better job with these countries that a lot of the drugs are produced in and brought into this country. So I definitely think there could be some changes made there that would have a positive impact on the drugs that get into this country.
All right, thank you. Our next question, do you support or oppose the privatization of jails, and why?
It's been tried. Bay County had privatized their jail, and they've gone back and they've changed it back. It's under the control of the sheriff again. I don't really think it saves any money, and that's normally why it's done. It might save a little bit on benefits and retirement programs for the employees, but it's a public safety issue. You know, I'm in charge of our jail. We have a very safe jail. We've had very little problems with anybody escaping from our jail. So privatization and a for-profit organization, they're there for that reason, and that's to make profit, and they may make cuts that would definitely jeopardize the public safety side.
All right, thank you. If you're just joining us, we are giving questions to the candidate for sheriff, the incumbent Wendell Hall. His opponent, Chris Roper, could not be with us tonight. One final question for you, Mr. Hall. Periodically, there is a major traffic accident on the 3 Mile Bridge. What steps can you take to work with the state to alert motorists so that an alternate route can be taken east of Gulf Breeze?
Well, that's primarily controlled by the Pensacola Police Department and also the City of Gulf Breeze. They're the two jurisdictions on each side of it. Now, if we're requested to assist them because of a bad traffic accident, we certainly we assist them, but it's primarily left up to them. Just early response and getting someone there as quickly as possible to divert the traffic off the bridge is about the only thing you can do. Because it can become a serious problem, and of course it dumps into Highway 98, which is a very busy road. But we do assist anytime we're asked by either one of those jurisdictions.
All right, thank you. And that concludes the questions for the Santa Rosa Sheriff's race. Again, we remind you that there are 2 candidates in this race. The challenger, Chris Roper, was unable to attend tonight's program. So, Mr. Hall, you now have 45 seconds to deliver a closing statement.
Thank you, and thank you all again for having me, and thank you to the League of Women Voters. I would just like to say to the citizens of Santa Rosa County, you know, the 12 years that I've been sheriff, it's certainly been an honor and a privilege to serve. This will be my last term, and we've had a lot of challenges. We've had population growth, as we talked about. We've also had hard economic times, but we've still, with the help of the fine men and women of the Sheriff's Office, we've made Santa Rosa County a great place to live. And you can compare us with other counties. We don't have the crime that other counties do because we've taken a real hard stance on drugs and crime. So I ask for your vote on November the 6th, and it's been a pleasure to serve you as your sheriff. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hall.
And as we mentioned earlier, we are going to be taking a look at the amendments that you will be asked to vote on the Florida ballot. A look at some of those is coming up following a message from Pensacola State College President Dr. Ed Meadows.
First, though, a look at the races still to come on Rally 2012 here on WSRE TV, PBS for the Gulf Coast.
There is nothing more important to our democratic process than having an informed electorate voting on Election Day. Good evening. I'm Ed Meadows, President of Pensacola State College, thanking you for tuning into Rally 2012, a joint presentation of the League of Women Voters, WSRE TV, and Pensacola State College. Rally allows you the opportunity to watch and listen as this election year slate of candidates answer the tough questions concerning the needs of our community and state. WSRE, a service of Pensacola State College, is proud to bring this program to you as a public service. And as always, we invite your comments and suggestions about how we can further fulfill our community obligations. Let's all remember the importance of participating in the governance process by voting in this upcoming election.
I'm Rosemary Hayes Thomas, co-president of the League of Women Voters of the Pensacola Bay Area. On our November 6th ballot, there are 11 amendments to our state constitution, all placed on the ballot by the state legislature rather than by citizen initiative. A 60% margin is required for passage. 4 proposed amendments, if passed, will increase property tax exemptions for specific groups of people. The Collins Center for Public Policy estimates that if all 4 of these amendments pass, it would result in a reduction of revenue to schools and local governments of more than $1 billion over the first 3 years. Amendment 2 deals with veterans disabled as a result of combat injury, who now receive a tax exemption if a current Florida resident, 65 or older, honorably discharged, and a resident of Florida when they entered the military. This amendment, if passed, would extend this benefit to others who were not Florida residents at the time they entered the service, but reside here now. Amendment 9 would put into the Constitution an existing full property tax exemption that now applies under Florida law to the surviving spouse of a Florida resident killed on active military duty. This amendment would expand this exemption to survivors of full-time, part-time, or volunteer first responders. Amendment 11 would allow cities and counties to pass a full homestead property tax exemption for seniors 65 or older who have lived in their home for 25 years or more if their household income is less than $27,030 and the home's market value is below $250,000. Amendment 4 would allow increases in property taxes when market values are declining. It would also cut from 10% to 5% the possible rate of increase in assessments for some non-homesteaded properties. Amendment 4 gives new homeowners a second homestead tax exemption for a 5-year period if they have not owned a home in Florida in the last 3 years. For more detailed nonpartisan information about the constitutional amendments and the merit retention process, please download the Florida League's Voter Guide. Just log on to thefloridavoter.org, the website for the League of Women Voters of Florida. Scroll down to the 2012 Voter Guide section and click on Download. In a few moments, the guide will appear on your computer screen. When you scroll down to the Amendments section, you'll see a synopsis of each amendment plus an explanation of what a vote of yes or no would mean. We hope you will find this information useful as you prepare to vote.
And welcome back to Rally 2012 as we count down to the Florida election, which is coming up in 11 days on November 6th.
Tonight, candidates for several races are in the WSRE studios answering questions provided by the League of Women Voters, Pensacola Bay Area.
The next race up is that for Santa Rosa County School Board, District 4. There are 2 candidates in this race, which is a nonpartisan race.
It's time now to meet the candidates, and these candidates are seated in alphabetical order. The first is Charles Elliott. Mr. Elliott, welcome to Raleigh.
Thank you, ma'am.
And the second candidate is Jennifer Grancy. Ms. Grancy, we welcome you to Raleigh as well.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
And it's time now to get started with the questions, and we will begin in alphabetical order, so that means we start this round with you, Mr. Elliott. Question number 1, some counties are considering retaining first graders who do not meet reading standards. What is your position on this proposal?
First of all, to retain them, I think that Santa Rosa County, we work as hard as we do as teachers to, on individual basis with the first graders. I think it's a tremendous idea as far as we come out with the report cards of first graders to let parents know that how their first graders are doing in our schools in Santa Rosa County. So I think it will be a long, hard look at that and see as far as if it's enough to hold them back, then it might be a good idea. But as far as we work as hard as we can to try to move them on to get them on to the next level.
All right, thank you. And Ms. Grancy, your position on retaining first graders who do not meet reading standards?
Well, right now, 3rd grade is the year, you know, that if the children don't pass the FCAT reading test, then they're in danger of failing. So 1st grade is setting it up a little earlier, a little sooner, a little easier to retain a 1st grader than it is a 3rd grader. Of course, we don't want to retain any child. And I know teachers worked their hardest to make sure that children can all read on grade level after 1st grade. But I do feel like retaining a child in 3rd grade is a lot easier than waiting until 3rd grade.
All right, thank you. Our next question will go to Ms. Grancy first. What impacts do you see with mainstreaming of students with physical and or mental disabilities?
Well, for an ESE student, exceptional student education, it's a good thing because they get to be with their peers. They learn to feel comfortable. They're coming into a regular classroom. Sometimes it's very challenging for the classroom teacher. If you have a regular ed student classroom and the ESE kids come in, sometimes there's distractions, but I think in the end it's all worthwhile because we are giving these ESE students an opportunity to be in a regular classroom. I think that's a good thing.
All right, thank you. And this question now to Mr. Elliott. What impacts do you foresee with mainstreaming of students with physical and or mental disabilities?
First of all, I think it's a tremendous challenge for Santa Rosa County school system, but Santa Rosa County teachers are up for the challenge. And like Ms. Grancy said just a few minutes ago, I think by the children being in with their peers, I feel like that other children would give them encouragement to some of their slow disabilities. I think that in that perspective, I think it'll be a tremendous asset to Santa Rosa County.
Okay, thank you.
All right, this next question goes to you first, Ms. Grancy. What is the greatest challenge facing the Santa Rosa County public school system?
Actually, I'll go to Mr. Elliott.
It goes to Mr. Elliott first. Thank you, Sandra.
I think one of the main challenges in Santa Rosa County is that's all over the United States is the budget. I think that we are doing tremendous in Santa Rosa County with our teachers, our faculty and staff of watching the budget, and I think there's going to be some challenges coming down the pipe that we as board members are going to have to look at and to make sure that the money is spent very wisely. And so I think a lot of challenges are coming down the pipe as it will be our finances.
All right, thank you. And now to you, Ms. Grancy, what do you perceive as the greatest challenge facing the Santa Rosa County public school system?
I think the economy is a challenge, but even more than that, I think it's the mandates coming from Tallahassee. They're coming fast and furiously, very difficult for teachers, administrators to keep up with. We're losing a lot of local control. Most of the things that are happening in Santa Rosa County, are coming from Tallahassee and then of course from the federal government. So I would just like to see us go back and have some more local control.
All right, thank you. And now this question will go to Ms. Granzi first. What is your position on how teachers should be evaluated for merit pay and promotion?
All right. Well, we've gone through a couple of evaluation tools so far. Of course, we want a fair tool, one that will treat the teachers fairly, and I think we've probably come up with one. The last one that was initiated, where the teachers were evaluated on 50% according to students' gains, really wasn't fair, because you had teachers being evaluated with students that they didn't even teach. So that was thrown out in the courts, fortunately, and now we've tried to come up with another tool, and it just needs to be fair. Teachers need to be in on coming up with this tool, and parents too.
All right, thank you. And now to you, Mr. Elliott. What is your position on how teachers should be evaluated for merit pay and promotion?
I think first of all, our teachers in Santa Rosa County, they give so much. They take their work home. They put more hours in at home than they do in the classroom to make sure that they're prepared to give their very best. And I think merit pay, is because I think it should be the very best. We should look at it over the board of our teachers deserve everything that they get and more. And if there's a child that in the classroom it just don't seem to get what they're teaching, I think sometimes we shouldn't hold the teacher accountable for that reason, because the fact is they do give 100%.
All right, thank you, Mr. Elliott. And this question goes to you first, Mr. Elliott. Santa Rosa County schools are ranked among the best in the state. What do you believe are the most effective programs in place which make this possible?
I think number one is that we have in Santa Rosa County has put No Child Left Behind, and when I say that, I think that the teachers they give the faculty and staff. I think that that's the reason why, is because the teachers they take their job very serious, and there are people that are moving in Santa Rosa County. It's not for the jobs, it's for the school system, and we are number 2 out of 67 counties, and continue being that way. It's because of the teachers. They take it very serious. They take their job very serious, and I think that it'll continue as the torch is being led down to the school board to make sure the rules and regulations are set out.
All right, thank you. And Ms. Granzi, the question posed now to you. Santa Rosa County is ranked among the best in the state. What do you believe are the most effective programs in place that make this possible?
Well, I think education is all about the classroom teacher. And fortunately, we have many dedicated, committed teachers in Santa Rosa County. We also have a lot of parents who are concerned about their children's education. They want high standards. They are involved in their children's education, and that is so helpful. We can't do it without parent participation, and so that's very helpful. So I think teacher dedication, parent involvement. We have lots of help from the district level. Our directors help at elementary, middle school, and high school. We have lots of professional development. I just think we have a great school system.
All right, thank you.
All right, we'll go to Ms. Granzi first for this next question. Do you think FCAT is a valid assessment of student achievement, and if not, what changes would you propose?
Well, I think the FCAT is a good assessment tool. I like the test. I don't like the politics behind the test, but I do like the test. Since FCAT Writes was initiated in 1998, our writing scores have come up tremendously. And I think that's because we've focused on writing, we've taught teachers how to teach writing, and we're doing so much better. So I like the FCAT, but it's almost a moot point, because in 2014 we're going to be getting prepared. We're preparing now for a Common Core Standards test, so there will be a new test. We also have end of course exams. So the FCAT is not the only tool that we use today, and that's probably a good thing.
All right, thank you. Now to Mr. Elliott. Your thoughts, do you think FCAT is a valid assessment of student achievement, and if not, what changes would you propose?
First of all, I believe that we put too much emphasis on the FCAT itself. I think it puts a lot of stress on the parents. I think it puts a lot of stress on the students, and definitely it puts a lot of stress on the teachers and administrative. We get prepared for this one big exam we call the FCAT, and we get so nervous and we forget about the 3 R's. And the reason why we're there. And I think that, as Ms. Grancy said, there are tests coming down the pipe that we need to look at more efficiently than FCAT, because when I was in school, the FCAT was something that we really got nervous about, and I think we put way too much emphasis on it.
All right, thank you. And Mr. Elliott, the final question is posed to you first. What policies will you propose to assist teachers as they prepare students for the required national core standards beginning in the 2016 school year? You have 45 seconds, sir.
I think as we're getting prepared for the core standards, I think that we have got teachers that are looking down into the future, and I think they're preparing themselves as we preparing our students, because as we open the door to we offering our college courses in our Santa Rosa County schools now, and as we open the door to the real world, I think that we are preparing our students to make sure that the future is set high for them, and I think that they're ready to meet the goals as once they get out through as they graduate through high school. I think we're doing the very best job we can.
All right, thank you. And the question goes now to you, Ms. Grancy. What policies will you propose to assist teachers as they prepare students for the required national core standards, which begins in the 2016 school year?
Well, we're going to need lots of professional development, because these standards are considered more rigorous than the ones that we've been using today, presently. And so the teachers are going to need lots of professional development to get ready for that. Parents are going to need help. They're going to need to understand what their children are supposed to learn each year, because we can't do it without parent help. We're going to need them to help work with their children too. So I guess I'll just propose that we have enough money for professional development.
All right, thank you.
And thank you, candidates. That completes the question and answer session now. Each of you will now have 45 seconds to deliver a closing statement. And this time we will begin with you, Ms. Grancy.
Thank you. I want to thank WSRE for holding this forum. I think it's so important that we are informed voters. And when you're choosing a candidate for school board on November 6th, I'd like you to consider my qualifications. I have my undergraduate and graduate degrees in education. I was a teacher, classroom teacher for 23 years and administrator for 12 years. I understand how board decisions affect students and teachers. Being a school board member will be my full-time commitment. If you need to know more about me, you can go to granzyforschoolboard.com. Please go and vote. Tomorrow begins early voting. It's so important that we all go to the polls, and I appreciate your support. Thank you.
All right, and now to you, Mr. Elliott, for your closing statement. You have 45 seconds, sir.
First of all, I want to thank y'all for having us tonight, getting us in front of the voters. I want to thank the voters of Santa Rosa County of lending your ear one more time to us. Also, I am a longtime resident of Santa Rosa County, treasurer of Pace Water System. I had a business for 25 years of Elliott's Electric Company in Santa Rosa County. After my father passed away, we went into the Lewis Funeral Home business. I am now working at Lewis Funeral Home, active in the community of Santa Rosa County. I have 2 children, 3 grandchildren in the Santa Rosa County school system. First of all, I want to thank the Santa Rosa professional educators for their endorsement. I want to thank Mr. Bledsoe for his endorsement. And I want to thank you as Santa Rosa County voters for coming out and voting November the 6th. Thank you so very much.
All right, thank you very much, candidates. And that concludes our look at the race for Santa Rosa County School Board District 4.
More candidates, more questions, more answers are straight ahead, as we have more information also on the proposed constitutional amendments and an explanation of merit retention for judges. Here's a look at the races that are just ahead on Rally 2012.
There are 3 ways to cast a ballot in Santa Rosa County: by mail, early voting, or at your precinct on Election Day. To vote by mail, contact the Santa Rosa County Supervisor of Elections office by phone, mail, fax, or email. Ballots must reach the Supervisor of Elections office by 7 p.m. on Election Day. Early voting takes place from Saturday, October 27th through Saturday, November 3rd at the Santa Rosa Supervisor of Elections office in Milton and at the South Santa Rosa Service Center on Highway 98 in Gulf Breeze. Early voting hours each day are 7 a.m. until 7 p.m. On the day of the general election, Tuesday, November 6th, voting takes place from 7 a.m. until 7 p.m. You must vote in the precinct in which you live and are registered, and be sure to bring photo and signature ID with you.
Thank you for watching Rally 2012 on WSRE TV. I'm Mary Blackwell, President of the League of Women Voters of Okaloosa County. For over 20 years, the Okaloosa and Pensacola Bay Area Leagues have provided questions for events like tonight's forum as a service to our local communities. The success of our democracy depends on active participation by informed citizens, which begins with voting. The League of Women Voters is nonpartisan, which means we don't support or oppose parties or candidates. This rally is one way for us to make accurate and nonpartisan information available to voters. You can also contact us for explanations of amendments, merit retention of judges, and other ballot issues. We invite women and men to attend our public events and to join us as members of the League. Please see our websites for more information or to contact us. And please remember to be an informed voter this year.
And welcome back to Rally 2012 as we move now to races in Escambia County. The next race up is that for Escambia County Commission District 1.
There are 2 candidates in this race, the Republican incumbent and the challenger who registers no party affiliation. And it's time now to meet those candidates. The first candidate we will introduce is the Republican incumbent, Wilson Robertson. Mr. Robertson, welcome to Rally.
Thank you.
And the challenger this evening is Bobby Spencer, and Mr. Spencer registers no party affiliation. Mr. Spencer, we say welcome to you as well.
Thank you very much for having me.
We'll now get started with the questions, and we will begin with you, Mr. Robertson. First question. The media has reported a surplus of $1.2 million in the county's budget this year. What is your position on restoring the requested funding from this surplus for both the Sheriff's Office and library system?
Well, when we learned that we were going to be short of in our budget because of the Medicaid that was unexpected, and then when we negotiated and got 1.2 million of that reduced, I wanted to go back and fund the sheriff's $353 million that we had taken out of his budget, and I wanted to also go back and put the 165 back into the library system so there'd be no cut in the hours. And I thought that was fair, but the board outvoted me and decided to put it into reserves. And the sheriff said he'd have to reduce 6 deputies if we did not restore the 353. And this is not a time in Escambia County and Pensacola to be reducing deputies.
All right, thank you very much. This first question now to you, Mr. Spencer. What is your position on restoring the requested funding from this surplus for both the Sheriff's Office and the library system?
I would have to agree with Mr. Robertson that we should fund the library system and the Sheriff's Office with that money. The reserve came in handy when we had the deficit last time around, but I don't foresee that happening again.
All right, thank you.
All right, and we will move on now to question number 2, and this time we will start with you, Mr. Spencer. The 4 property tax amendments, 2, 4, 9, and 11 on the ballot will give additional property tax exemptions to specific groups and will reduce the funds used to operate the county government. What is your opinion on those amendments, sir?
9 I like, the property tax exemption for the spouses of military people that are deceased, that were killed in the line of duty. I believe we owe that to them. I like 11. Low-income people, it gives the low-income citizens tax break that gives the county control over it. So we might, this isn't from the state, but the county would decide whether or not it would be too much of a tax burden, because that's going to have to be replaced by somebody else. So, but it gives, this one here gives the counties a chance to decide whether or not they can afford to do that or not.
Okay, thank you. And the question goes now to you, Mr. Robertson. The 4 property tax amendments on the ballot, 2, 4, 9, and 11, would give additional property tax exemptions to specific groups and reduce funds used to operate county government. What is your opinion, sir, on these amendments?
Well, 2, 9, and 11 I would support. Anytime we can give additional tax breaks to spouses of military and EMT and firefighters, police and sheriff's deputies that die in the line of duty. I'm for all of them except number 4. Number 4 would devastate the budgets of the counties throughout the 67 counties in Florida, because you would be given a 10%. Now, you know, the small businesses and the pro-business is going to say, well, we need that additional break. But instead of a 10% max that you could be reduced when the property values goes up, it would be reduced to 5. And with that break, it would really hurt the county budgets.
All right, thank you, sir.
And our next question will go first to Mr. Robertson. Please comment on using a portion of the BP settlement money for beach renourishment and correcting stormwater problems, as suggested by one commissioner.
Well, actually, it's mandated that about 2/3 of all the BP fine money is going to go to restore the beaches, the estuaries, the wetlands, the environment. The other third is designated pretty much for economic development. A lot of businesses were hurt here. We need jobs. And fortunately, we're going to have enough, probably $300 million in this county before it's over. Probably a couple of $100 million to restore all the environmental impacts, and then at least $100 million, maybe more. It's going to be for economic development, helping small businesses, bring industry in here and create some jobs.
All right, thank you very much. And now, Mr. Spencer, this question to you. What are your thoughts on using a portion of the BP money for beach renourishment and correcting stormwater problems?
That is what the Restore Act was intentionally for, to restore those beaches and renourish those beaches. And stormwater runoff would be part of keeping these beaches in good shape. Tourism promotion, workforce development, restoration of natural resources, that would come under restoration of natural resources. These are seafood, food protection, but it has to be science-based developed. That's whatever we do with it. The job promotion part, that's also in there. That's great. But these things are dedicated. This money is dedicated to these specific things.
All right. Thank you. We have a request for a rebuttal. Mr. Robertson, 30 seconds.
Just like to rebut my opponent on that. The Restore Act was not specifically just to restore the beaches and the wetlands. There's a large portion of that was intended and intentionally intended to help the small businesses, the economy, and the jobs.
All right, thank you. Rebuttal, Mr. Spencer, 30 seconds.
I may have made a mistake. The Restore Act these are the first parts of it. These aren't the end part. I did mention the job creation, the tourism promotion. But the Restore Act this is the first part, the original part. The meat of it was to restore the damage that had been done by BP.
All right, thank you.
And we move now to question number 4, and this time we will start with you, Mr. Spencer. What method would you recommend the Commission adopt to adequately fund the public library system?
Well, first, I have a library card, and I've been to the library on a particular Saturday morning last month, and it was almost full. We need to, we have a 70% stake in it, and we have no say. So adequate funding, we may have the funds available. It seems we've built buildings and haven't put the money in to operate these buildings. We don't have the money to operate these buildings. We might want to just talk about something the librarians want to do. So far as cutting back on their hours, they would rather cut back on days than hours. So we may be able to work within the budget we have.
All right, thank you, sir. And the question goes now to you, Mr. Robertson. What method would you recommend that the Commission adopt to adequately fund the public library system?
Well, the method we use today is the general revenue. We put about $3.2 million from the county's budget, and then the city puts the other 30%. What the Friends of the Library and the library operators and probably eventually the county and the city is going to want to look at is a dedicated funding source that they don't have to argue about every year. And if we do that, we're going to have to replace the general revenue funding that we're doing now with that revenue that comes out of a special funding, and it'll be just really a replacement, not additional taxes. But what they want is something dedicated that they don't have to come to the board and argue about. But the key here also is the city pulled out of mass transit a few years ago, and they don't pay a dime toward buses. They need to help us with buses, and we'd have more money for libraries.
All right, sir.
Thank you. And if you're just joining us, you're watching Rally 2012 here on WSRE TV. We are posing questions to the candidates for Escambia County Commission, District 1. Those questions provided by the League of Women Voters, Pensacola Bay Area. This next question will go to Mr. Robertson first. Given the continuing operating deficit of the Civic Center, now known as the Bay Center, what is your assessment of its economic value to the community? Do you think it is worthy of support?
Well, actually, until we get something better, we've got to have a place to have events. Look at what's going to happen tomorrow. We're going to have 10,000 people in there to visit Romney or any candidate that might come to town. But the University of West Florida is looking at a 10,000 seat arena. If they build that, we may conjoint with them and abolish and do away with the Civic Center. It's 30 years old. The acoustics are terrible. We are losing $1.5 million a year, and it's probably outlived its purpose. I wouldn't put another 20 or 30 million in remodeling it. I'd love to see UWF put something out there that we could all use together. But until they do, we got to have it.
All right, thank you. And now this question to Mr. Spencer. What is your assessment of the economic value to the community of the Pensacola Bay Center, and do you think it's worthy of support?
Yes, I do think it's worthy of support. I looked into another arena that's a similar size. It's a 13,000 seat arena in West Virginia, and they operate $450,000. It has a lot more, it caters to smaller events, a lot of smaller events, but here's an example. They have 7 open dates this month. We have all open dates but one. They'll have church services in there. They'll rent it to large groups. They don't mind catering to small events, and I think I would like to look at how expensive it would be to fix the acoustics in that place. We may be able to have better music venues in there.
All right, we have a request for rebuttal, Mr. Robertson.
Sorry to have to do this, but I would challenge that statement that we have all open dates this month but one. I'd have to see that in writing. Our Civic Center with SMG managing it won the top 10 award in Florida. So I just can't believe we only had one event during the whole month.
All right, another request for rebuttal, Mr. Spencer.
Is the one for Mitt Romney. That's all that's on the calendar. I checked their calendar. I checked the other calendar. I really like the Cirque du Soleil thing coming. We could do some more things like that. Looks like they have a lot of good upcoming events, and I hope to see more of them. I'm going to personally try and attend the Cirque du Soleil thing. I think that'd be great. Right. I'd like to see Blue Men and more concerts and all that.
All right, thank you.
All right, the question now goes to you first, Mr. Spencer. While there are Escambia County residents who depend on public transportation for a variety of reasons, some complain about the cost and the availability of routes. Please give your assessment, sir, of the transit system, and you have 45 seconds.
I would have to agree with the routes. I haven't looked much into it, but I know a few people that do ride the bus. It seems that some places are underserved and some places are overserved. I'm heard that the military, that they have dedicated routes for military bases and such, and then they only have a few routes to the beach that are usually packed up. And I've heard that they'll even have to bring other buses when there's too much congestion in one area. I would suggest that they put more into the underserved routes.
All right, thank you, Mr. Spencer. And now this question to you, Mr. Robertson, regarding public transportation. While some Escambia County residents do depend on public transportation for a variety of reasons, some complain about the cost and the availability of routes. Please give your assessment of the transit system.
Well, let me tell you, first of all, the Mass Transit Union has endorsed me, and the other day I took a ride, hour and a half. It was packed. going and coming all around town. Most of our routes are pretty well used. And you're talking about the cost, it's $1.75 for round trip cost. However, if you're senior citizens, it's 80 cents. If you're military and uniform, it's free. If you're on Medicaid, it's absolutely free. It costs us as taxpayers a lot of money, but I can tell you it's very inexpensive to the riders, and we establish the routes based on need, and they may not all be full all the time, but that's the only way someone would get to work.
All right, thank you, sir.
All right, and we have one final question for our candidates for Escambia County Commission District 1. Some residential properties in Escambia County yield no property taxes because of depressed values. In what ways can the Commission stabilize property values and provide for economic development in the urban core? Mr. Robertson, to you first.
Well, actually, of course, the reason so many of them are vacant and the property values are down is the downturn in the economy. Property values are depressed. Home building is almost nil. We have a terrible market. It's starting to come back a little bit. So a lot of speculators built a lot of rental properties and they were full at one time and now they're vacant. If you don't have tenants, you can't have income. And when you don't have buildings that are full and they're vacant, the property value is going to go down. What we got to do is go out and find some jobs and fill those buildings, and they'll be renovated, re-rented, we'll have income and jobs. But yes, as long as they're sitting there vacant and run down, the property values are going to go down.
All right, thank you. And now to you, Mr. Spencer. In what ways do you think the Commission can stabilize property values and provide for economic development in the urban core?
Well, Florida was one of the hardest hit states so far as property values plummeting during the economic downturn. But I agree with Mr. Robertson that we do need jobs around here to help fill some of those places. The more jobs we have, the more people will need housing. And you have to start building housing before the property values will return. When you've got houses on the market that sit on the market and sit on the market and sit on the market, they're not going to rise in value.
All right, thank you. And thank you, gentlemen. That completes the question and answer session. And now each of you will have 45 seconds to deliver a closing statement. And this time we begin with you, Mr. Spencer. Your closing statement, 45 seconds.
Okay. I went to a chamber meeting the other day and I heard some very discouraging statistics. I heard somebody say that we were the 17th most poverty depressed area there was in the nation. And I think that what they were thinking on, they were talking about expanding business and how it costs more to bring in new business than it takes to expand business. But I don't see the expansion taking care of the problem, and I don't see tourism taking care of the problem. We have 3 districts that don't benefit a whole lot from tourism, and I think we need to get on the manufacturing bandwagon with it. Now, next door in Santa Rosa County, we have a economic development organization, and I think we either need to get our own economic development organization or work more closely with that economic development organization to bring jobs to this county, and it will take care of some of those problems we just discussed.
All right, and now we go to you, Mr. Robertson, for your closing statement, and sir, you have 45 seconds too.
Thank you very much, and I'm just going to read what my brochure says here, the reason I think people ought to give me another term. We have a balanced budget with no tax increase, lowest property taxes since the 1970s. I've helped create over 2,000 jobs, closure of the Softly landfill, build an 80-acre sports complex, 65 miles of sidewalks, and 32 miles of resurface. And I served 8 years in District 5, kind of retired, came out, served 1 term in District 1, and I'd like another term to serve you. And also, those hundreds of millions of dollars of BP fine money that's coming to this county, the Board of County Commissioners will determine where that's spent. We're going to have for sure 2 new county commissioners. We don't need 3, so I'd like your support. Thank you.
All right, thank you, candidates, and that now concludes our question and answer session for the race for County Commission District 1 in Escambia County.
We still have more candidates, more questions and answers straight ahead. Also, more information on the proposed constitutional amendments. Here's a look at the races that are coming your way.
I'm Rosemary Hayes Thomas, co-president of the League of Women Voters of the Pensacola Bay Area. On our November 6th ballot, there are 11 amendments to our state constitution, all placed on the ballot by the state legislature rather than by citizen initiative. A 60% margin is required for passage. Amendment 5 gives more power to the legislature by limiting the independence of the courts. Currently, the governor appoints each new Supreme Court justice from a list that's provided by a nominating commission that identifies and screens nominees. Amendment 5 would also require Senate confirmation of the governor's appointments and make it easier for the legislature to repeal the Supreme Court's rules of procedure. It would also give state representatives access to confidential files of judges accused of misconduct, which now are available only during impeachments. Amendment 6 would do two things. First, state and federal law currently prohibit the use of public funds for most abortions. This amendment would place this prohibition on use of public funding into the Constitution. Second, Amendment 6 would prevent the specific privacy clause in Florida's Constitution from being used in abortion cases only. Thus, more restrictive laws might be found constitutional in Florida. If the amendment does not pass, taxpayer funds still could not be used to fund most abortions because of state and federal laws. If Amendment 8 passes, state funds could be used for religious activities. Florida's Constitution prohibits using taxpayer funds directly or indirectly to promote a single religion. Religious organizations may now use public funds for charitable activities which do not advocate for their religion. Amendment 8 would impact the school voucher program, which now does not cover religious schools. This amendment would permit state-funded vouchers to be used to attend schools run by any religion. For more detailed, nonpartisan information about the constitutional amendments and the merit retention process, please download the Florida League's Voter Guide. Just log on to thefloridavoter.org, the website for the League of Women Voters of Florida. Scroll down to the 2012 Voter Guide section and click on Download. In a few moments, the guide will appear on your computer screen. When you scroll down to the Amendment section, you will see a synopsis of each amendment plus an explanation of what a vote of yes or no would mean. We hope you will find this information useful as you prepare to vote.
Welcome back to Rally 2012 on WSRE TV, PBS for the Gulf Coast. If you are just joining us, I'm Drexel Gilbert along with Sandra Averhart, and tonight we are hearing from candidates on important issues that affect you.
We now begin the question and answer session with the candidates for Escambia County Commission District 3.
There are 4 candidates in this race, a Republican, a Democrat, and 2 candidates who are running with no party affiliation.
The first candidate we will introduce tonight is John R. Johnson, who is running with no party affiliation. Candidate Hugh King is also running with no party affiliation. The next candidate tonight is Luman May, the Democratic candidate in this race. And the fourth candidate is Tiffany Washington, who is running as a Republican. Welcome to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And candidates, you will have 45 seconds to respond to your questions. Then at the conclusion of the question and answers, you will each have 45 seconds to make a closing statement. And we will begin the questions with you, Mr. Johnson. Question 1. Eroding shorelines are an ongoing problem at both Pensacola Beach and Perdido Key. For renourishment of these barrier islands, how would you propose to raise the local funds following the one-time influx of BP funds? And again, the question goes first to you, Mr. Johnson.
Well, as you know that the shorelines erode all the time. It's cyclical. If you studied the pattern, you would see that in some areas it moves and then in a couple of years it's in another area. That can be fixed with ecologically friendly methods, but the money after the BP situation is going to be a problem. So one way may be to increase the toll on the bridges or in the parks by 25 cents, and that will put money in the coffers to do the restoration.
All right, thank you, sir. And the question now goes to you, Mr. King. Eroding shorelines, ongoing problem at Perdido Key and also Pensacola Beach. For renourishment of these barrier islands, what would you propose as a way of raising local funds following the one-time influx of BP money?
Well, my proposal would be very simply to
use taxes that come from bed tax money, funds from the bed tax revenues in the specific areas, basically using the money that's generated in that area, put it back into that area, and try to hold as much as you can in reserve.
All right, thank you. And now the question goes to you, Mr. May. What would you propose as a way of raising local funds following the one-time influx of BP funds to address the problem of the erosion at the beaches at Pensacola Beach and Perdido Key?
Well, first of all, thank you and thank the League of Women Voters for having us here. And that's an excellent question. First of all, as we know, the Restore Act funds will be used to restore our environment and restore our economy. So we should make best use of those dollars so we won't be taxing our taxpayers and looking for other funding sources. If we use the money systematically and use it to the best of our ability, I believe that we will be able to lessen the tax burden that we will put on our taxpayers. I would not be in support of raising any taxes, but looking at our municipal taxing units as it relates to the beach and seeing how we can generate those funds and how we can find alternative ways of funding that, whether it's through sales tax or any other way.
All right, thank you, Mr. May. And the question now finally to you, Ms. Washington, your proposal for raising local funds to address the renourishment issues at Perdido Key and Pensacola Beach once the one-time influx of the BP funds has been used.
After the BP funds have been depleted, I would think that the first line of defense would be to go to the people who live on the beach to ask that they contribute to a fund for the barrier islands, and then the next line of defense would be to ask people who own businesses on the beach if they would be willing to add some type of percentage to their sales to compensate for the barrier islands depletion.
All right, thank you.
All right, we're up to question number 2, and it will go first to candidate King. Given that property taxes are the major source of funding for county government, what is your opinion of the 4 property tax amendments, 2, 4, 9, and 11, on the ballot, which will reduce property taxes to the county?
Well, I think whenever you can reduce taxes, you're doing an appropriate thing. The real tough thing is to make sure that you keep services at an adequate level for public safety and public well-being. You don't want to minimize quality of life issues at all. So, you know, it is very good to be able to do that. The other side of the coin is that, you know, when you do have a tax rate, and the purpose of those taxes is to maintain that quality of life. So, you know, those whenever the public has an opportunity to exercise its opinion and vote on an issue, then we're going the right way.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. May, this question now to you. What is your opinion of the 4 property tax amendments, 2, 4, 9, and 11, which will reduce property taxes to the county?
Well, because of this downturn in the economy, each of us have experienced lower taxes that we pay on our property. My concern is for the citizens. My concern is that we continue to fund the library, to fund mass transportation and public transportation. And so if we want to make sure that we keep those services at a level that provides a great quality of life, it will be tough to support that and to reduce taxes at this time, because we've already had a downturn. I think that that's something that we would explore once we have the turn in the economy and property values begin to rise again. Then we could certainly explore these amendments. But now we're doing more with less, and certainly the services are needed in our community.
All right, thank you. And now, Ms. Washington, we're looking for your response to this question. What is your opinion of the 4 property tax amendments, 2, 4, 9, and 11, which will reduce property taxes to the county?
At this time, I would not be willing to support those amendments because I do not believe that Escambia County can afford to have any further reductions. I think that, as it was said prior, we are already doing a lot more with a lot less. I think that if there's any fat to be trimmed, we're working on doing that. But I think that it's going to require creativity. I think that people are going to have to be flexible and willing to pay the current tax rate and maybe even a slight hike at some point before we are able to get on track and make sure that services are improved, added, or maintained.
All right, thank you. And now this question finally to candidate Johnson. What is your opinion of the 4 property tax amendments which are on the ballot and which will reduce property taxes to the county?
Well, I personally plan to vote no on every amendment on the ballot. We have a problem with our public safety. As you know, on October 22nd in Warrenton, there was a fire, and the fire station, because they were volunteers, took more than 10 minutes to get there. When they got there, the man's house was burnt down and the man was dead. And what's even worse than a person's house burning down is a whole neighborhood burning down. We need to have professional firefighting service throughout the urban areas of the county. And we cannot afford to pitch pennies that cost lives. And it's not just the fire. Remember, the paramedics ride with the fire department. So in case of an automobile accident, it would be disastrous. We already cut it to the bone.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, and we are up now to question number 3 for Escambia County Commission District 3, and we are going to begin this time with you, Mr. May. What is your position on the restoration of some of the millage rate that has been cut in the last few years in order to prevent the loss of public services?
Absolutely. We've reduced some millage rates. I think that the services are needed now more than ever because we've suffered a recession. I commend the people who preceded me in cutting that millage rate for our residents, but I think that no longer can we cut millage rates. I think that we have to look at more creative ways and more creative ways of financing and not look to cut, but seek to improve our economic development and bring more businesses and more industry and more residents to our county so we will have a greater tax base.
All right, thank you. And now to you, Ms. Washington, your opinion on restoring some of the millage rate in order to offset a loss of public services.
I believe that it is important to restore the millage rate because it is imperative that services, like I said before, be not only maintained but improved, and some services need to be added. There are outlying areas that need services that they're not receiving at this time, and I think the millage rate would be beneficial.
All right, thank you. And the question now to you, Mr. Johnson. Would you like for me to repeat the question?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. What is your position on the restoration of some of the millage rate that has been cut in recent years in order to prevent the loss of necessary public services?
I would be in favor of restoring some of them. Like we need to boost our infrastructure, our intellectual infrastructure, and our physical infrastructure. So we have to have money to have people go out and put sidewalks in and pave roads, and there's no way around it.
All right, thank you. And finally, the question to you, Mr. King, your position on restoring some of the millage rate in order to offset the loss of public services.
Well, you know, more taxes is always an easy answer, but it's not always the best answer. I personally believe that the most important thing we need to do is stop wasteful spending. I think we're a little top-heavy in high-paying administrative jobs. I think that we have a workforce that needs to adopt the attitude of the Tuskegee Airmen, get it right the first time. A lot of errors by public servants has cost the county a lot of money, created lawsuits, and have made the citizens to suffer. So I think a more quality job by a trimmed-down workforce would be the first way to look at funding essential services for the citizens of Escambia County.
All right, thank you, sir.
All right, we're up to question number 4, and it will go first to Ms. Washington. Considering that it constantly runs a budget deficit, what course of action should be considered with regard to the Civic Center, now known as the Bay Center, including its demolition?
I first believe that it should not be demolished until there is a viable substitute for it. I also believe that it requires better management because it has never reached its full potential. And I think one of the main reasons that that has happened or has not happened has been because the talent that has been booked there and events booked there have not been diverse enough to attract a majority of the support from citizens or residents of Escambia County and surrounding areas. I think that there's room for improvement in management, and then I think there's room for improvement into the physical structure, but I do not think that it needs to be demolished. I think we should consider selling it if an appropriate buyer avails.
All right, thank you. Now to you, Mr. Johnson. This question regarding what you think should be considered with regard to the Civic Center, including its demolition.
Well, it was a lot of money spent to build it, so we've already demolished the Bayfront Auditorium. We have fewer and fewer venues to host events that benefit the way of life. I would launch a search to get a better management company, because what's happened is we had ineffective management and they really run it into the ground. They haven't lost money on their salaries, but the Civic Center has been losing money, on the Bayfront Bay Center has been losing money for about 30 years now. So it's a management problem.
All right, thank you. And now to you, Mr. King. What course of action do you think should be considered with regard to the Civic Center, including demolition?
I think we should aggressively seek to sell the Civic Center. Demolition, to me, I think would be totally the wrong way to go, because there was a great investment to have it built, and we just can't let taxpayers' dollars be used and then literally wasted that way. A private sector buyer would be sensitive to and understand, the need for diversity, and also their personal objective to make profit would just mandate that it would be a viable entity, and it is a good structure. But the current method of management has proven it was the rationale with the city auditorium. That's just not the function of public service.
All right, thank you. And finally, to candidate May, what course of action do you think should be considered with regards to the Civic Center?
Certainly, the Civic Center has been a topic of discussion, but let me say first that public parks and public buildings are paid for by the taxpayers, and very frequently do you find that they pay for themselves. I think that we should seek to reduce the subsidy that's given to the Civic Center. We should address the Civic Center in its capital outlay and its current structure, because it's outlived its usefulness, and we should retrofit it. We should look at best practices and look at convention centers, look at civic centers across the country, and see how are they programming their building. And so certainly we should look at the management to make sure that we have the best contract for the residents, but we should also look at the building to make sure that the building has the structure for the best programming to be able to provide a return on our investment dollars.
All right, thank you. And now the final question for this race, Escambia County Commission District 3, and we are going to start this time with you, Mr. Johnson. The media has reported a surplus of $1.2 million in the county's budget this year. What is your position on restoring the requested funding from this surplus for both the Sheriff's Office and the library system? And again, we start with you, Mr. Johnson.
Okay, well, number one, in the interest of public safety, we do need to restore and make sure that our sheriff department has the adequate money and facilities and resources to protect the public, which is constitutionally appointed to do. The library system, I think that in the western part of the urban area downtown, we need to expand the library off of Cervantes Street. Some people might say, well, they got a library downtown on Gregory Street. But then when you go to the north side of town by Cordova Mall, at Pensacola Junior College, you got the genealogy library. Then you got the Resource Center, which is another library. And if you go over to Langley, that's another library. So they got 3 libraries in this area, and we got one that's being used to its fullest, and we need to expand that.
Thank you. And the question now goes to you next, Mr. King. The $1.2 million budget surplus in the county's budget this year, what is your position on restoring the requested funding from this surplus for both the Sheriff's Office and the library system?
I think whenever you make a move to increase or enhance public safety, you're making the right move for the betterment of all of the citizens and quality of life. But along with that, just a automatic restoration, it would certainly, we want to mandate that it would be very well spent for, actual law enforcement and not bells and whistles. And our library system certainly has been neglected for a long time, and anything we can do to enhance education opportunities for our children, we definitely need to do that. So I would prioritize library over law enforcement.
All right, thank you, Mr. King. And the question now goes to you, Mr. May. Your position on restoring the requested funding from the $1.2 million surplus in the county's budget for the Sheriff's Office and the library system.
Absolutely. I think as a county commissioner, we should be good stewards of the money that's been entrusted to us. So we shouldn't haphazardly just distribute money or restore money. But beginning of any commissioner's term, public safety is the top priority. In libraries, educational attainment and economic development are parallel to each other, and so there won't be any economic development without educational attainment. So libraries are important, public safety is important, but also I think that public transportation and other essential needs of our community should also be considered as we begin to distribute these surplus funds.
All right, thank you. And finally, the question to you, Ms. Washington. Would you like for me to repeat the question? What is your position on restoring the requested funding from the $1.2 million surplus in the county's budget this year for both the sheriff's office and the library system?
I definitely believe that the library system should be supported and maintained. I believe that children, even though most homes have computers, I believe that there's nothing like going to the actual library. That's an experience that I had as a child, and I think that each child deserves it. I think that there is a lot to be learned from the library. I also believe that the Sheriff's Department should receive funds if they're going to be allocated properly, if it's going to lead to the solving of crimes that even some that are now unsolved in Escambia County. I think that the Sheriff's Department and other law enforcement entities should always get the funds that they deserve or would need.
Thank you, Ms. Washington.
All right, and thank you, candidates. Now each of you will have 45 seconds to make a closing statement. And for this round, we will begin with candidate King, 45 seconds.
Thank you very much. I want to thank the League of Women Voters. I want to thank WSRE for making this opportunity available. Of course, whenever the voters have an opportunity to really get to know the candidates, it's very, very important, and they should make a very informed decision rather than an emotional decision. And I think in this race specifically, the need to have a candidate who is experienced, who does understand and have a proven track record of public service is very, very important. I offer myself to serve District 3 and to be a responsible representative of Escambia County, working for the betterment of quality of life for everybody in our area.
Okay, thank you.
And now your closing statement, Mr. May.
Once again, I want to thank the League of Women Voters and WSRE, but more importantly, I want to thank the people that are listening, and I want to thank my campaign workers, 300 volunteers who have given of themselves to make this community better. And our campaign has been about clean and safe neighborhoods. It's been about job development and economic development, workforce development and workforce readiness. And this campaign has been about being an advocate for those who don't have a voice. And if I'm elected County Commissioner in District 3, Lumen May will be a strong voice for those who have not had a voice, to those who have been neglected. I see this community moving forward. I will work in cooperation and collaboration with anyone that wants to move District 3 and the entire Escambia County forward. Thank you so much. Vote Lumen May.
All right, thank you, Mr. May. And now, Ms. Washington, you have 45 seconds for a closing statement.
Okay. I'm a breath of fresh air. I have the head and I have the heart to represent and protect the interests of all who live, work, and play in District 3. I have a proven track record of community advocacy and leadership, and I have the integrity needed to fulfill this position. On November 6th, vote Tiffany Washington for County Commissioner, District 3.
Thank you. And now to you, Mr. Johnson, for your closing statement.
Well, thank the League of Women Voters and yourself. I want to say that I'm not owned by any downtown land company or beholden to any special interest group. I have qualified and ran for this position 3 times with this term. That makes me the most qualified for the office. Over the last 12 years that I've been running for this office, I know the unique problems that District 3 faced. I want to improve the quality of public safety. I want to help reduce the unemployment. And I really am concerned about public safety as concerns with fire safety. Vote for John R. Johnson on November 6th, the one that you can trust. Thank you so much, and have a nice day.
And we are now going to take a short break from the question and answers and pass along some important voting information.
And as we head to that information, a look now at the races that are yet to come tonight. You're watching Rally 2012 on WSRE TV, PBS for the Gulf Coast.
There are 3 ways to cast a ballot in Escambia County: by mail, early voting, or at your precinct on Election Day. To vote by mail, contact the Escambia County Supervisor of Elections office. You can write, phone, fax, email, or log on to their website. Ballots must reach the Supervisor of Elections office by 7 p.m. on Election Day. Early voting takes place from Saturday, October 27th through Saturday, November 3rd at the 5 locations listed on your screen. Early voting times are 7 a.m. until 7 p.m. each day. On the day of the general election, Tuesday, November 6th, voting takes place at your polling location from 7 a.m. until 7 p.m. You must vote in the precinct in which you live and are registered. To verify your precinct, log on to escambiavotes.com. Make sure you take along a photo and a signature ID with you.
And welcome back to Rally 2012 here on WSRE TV. It's been a night filled with important information for you as you prepare to cast your votes in the 2012 general election. And right now it's time to get back to the candidates for Escambia County Commission District 5. There are 2 candidates, a Republican and a candidate with no party affiliation.
And seated alphabetically, the first candidate to be introduced tonight is Stephen Barry. He is the Republican candidate. We say welcome to you. The second candidate who will receive questions tonight is Packy Mitchell. He is running with no party affiliation, and welcome to you as well. Beginning alphabetically, we will start the questions with you tonight, Mr. Barry.
Okay.
Local governments are funded overwhelmingly by property taxes. What is your position on Amendments 2, 4, 9, and 11, which reduce property taxes to county government?
Well, it is a case where we've got declining property values that are that would be multiplied exponentially by the passing of all those amendments. I do not support the 3 amendments that you referenced, I believe, Mrs. Gilbert.
4, 2, 4, 9, and 11.
Okay, I'm sorry. I do not support the 4 amendments that were referenced in the question.
All right, thank you. And the question now goes to you, Mr. Mitchell. What is your position on Amendments 2, 4, 9, and 11, which govern property taxes and, if passed, would reduce the amount of money that goes to county government?
Well, with our situation that we're in now, with the economy down like it is, I can't support the 4 amendments being passed. We're in tough enough times as it is, and as much as I'd love to see the taxpayers pay less money, I think we need to work on it in-house when we have opportunity. We have some better times. If we can put back in the taxpayer's pocket, we do it then. But to be forced on that issue right now with the 4 amendments, I do not agree with them.
All right, thank you.
All right, and Mr. Mitchell, you'll get this question first. The media has reported a surplus of $1.2 million in the county's budget this year. What is your position on restoring the requested funding from this surplus for both the Sheriff's Office and the library system?
As far as the Sheriff's Office goes, if it can be shown where the deputies are needed, and I think they are, but you know, there's an extensive budget there already, and we need to make sure that it's operated and controlled as good as he can. I think he's probably doing a fair job of it, but just to say that, you know, we need to stick another $300,000 in there, we need to make sure of that. As far as the libraries, I know we just had our grand opening of one in Molina that's empty, and they had said we were going to wind up with a partial, part-time library staff, and I really want to see that full-time. They were going to cut back on Century, and the people up there deserve what everybody else in the county has, and I fully believe we need to staff that.
All right, to you, Mr. Barry, regarding this reported budget surplus, what is your position on restoring the requested funding for both the Sheriff's Office and the library system?
Thank you. I appreciate the question. It's a situation where I feel like it would be somewhat imprudent for me to make a recommendation on whether the funds should be added back or should not be. When you're not a part of the budget process and you're not able to vet and put the hours and hours that go into that process, as an outsider, it's not necessarily appropriate to say, well, we should do this because of what I read in the newspaper or what I see on the internet. However, to do with the library, I think that brings to light a bigger issue which lies between the City of Pensacola and Escambia County. We have multiple interlocal agreements in place. And I think it's time for both municipalities to sit down and address the interlocal agreements as they relate to the library, ECAT, and the Chamber of Commerce.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you. And this is something of a follow-up to that question, and the question goes to you first, Mr. Berry. Would you support a dedicated funding source for the public library system?
Only if it were to be drawn out of the general fund. I would not support a new dedicated funding source for the library program right now. If it could be pulled out, if it was made a line item on potentially your ad valorem tax receipt or what have you, if you have the chance to know that that's where it's going to go, that's appropriate. But as long as that is a net zero, I don't think you can burden the taxpayers of Escambia County with any additional taxes or fees right now.
All right, thank you. And the question now to you, Mr. Mitchell, would you support a dedicated funding source for the public library system?
Not at this time. I would have to agree with Stephen on that. We're burdened enough right now. We got enough to take care of, and if we can find a way to pull money from somewhere else and work toward the library, that's fine. But I'm certainly not in favor of a new tax at all.
All right, thank you, sir.
All right, and our next question to Mr. Mitchell first. It has been suggested that the Civic Center, now the Bay Center, be torn down and replaced with a 10,000-seat arena at UWF. What are your thoughts on this idea?
Well, it's interesting that UWF can come up with the idea that they can make it work and we as Escambia County can't. My first thought is that we need to look at the other municipalities that have the same type of arenas. How are they operating? Are they making money, or are they being supported by the counties? And also, do we look at our management? Is it doing what it needs to do? And we again are on the outside looking in right now, and I'd have to see the numbers to make a factual statement on it. But I would be concerned about closing it and tearing it down. I would like to see it operate, but then if UWF comes into play and makes theirs happen, then I think that's probably the way we'll go.
All right, and now to you, Mr. Berry. What are your thoughts on whether the Civic Center should be torn down and replaced with a similar arena at UWF?
Well, in generalities, with the Civic Center, municipalities don't get the opportunity to make money on everything that they do. Obviously, there's a greater public good that's served by a portion of their responsibilities. Public safety doesn't make money. Public education doesn't make money. But a Civic Center that's going to be an annual fiscal year cash flow drain on the county, I think that we need to make a decision as a county. Does that Civic Center provide a greater good? If it does, perhaps we continue to fund it at negative cash flow year after year. And if it's not providing the greater public good, then I think the decision has to be made to look at some alternatives. Identifying those alternatives, I wouldn't want to kind of be pigeonholed into one option.
All right, thank you. And now the next question goes to you first, Mr. Berry. The newly formed Business Enterprises Incorporated at UWF is proposing that $50 million from the BP settlement be used to expand cultural heritage tourism downtown through bed and breakfast, boutique hotels, and a revamped historic district. What is your position on that?
If I'm fortunate enough to move forward from the general election, I am a proud UWF alum, be as big an advocate and proponent of their programs as possible. To flatly say that $50 million off the top of the BP money is going to go to that project, I can't say that. What I can say, the BP Restore money, if it happens the way that we think it's going to happen, it's the opportunity to have multi-generational effects with Escambia County. You've got long-term capital projects, especially those that are going to be tied to future county revenue sources. Each one of the projects, we can't just see it as the money that has to be spent in the first 2 years that they're in the budget. We have the opportunity, every project needs to be vetted as if it's the only $2 million that we had to spend.
All right, thank you. Mr. Mitchell, your assessment of the proposal by Business Enterprise Incorporation at UWF that $50 million from the BP settlement be used to expand cultural heritage tourism downtown through bed and breakfast, boutique hotels, and a revamped historic district.
Well, when I first saw that, I was a little shocked, and I'm very much in support of UWF growing. It's a great product to have here in Escambia County, but I would have to see some very firm numbers to see that that's anywhere close to being a feasible opportunity. And just to say that I'm open to offering them $50 million, I would not be. The BP money is we hope is coming. It's not set in stone yet. Our federal government's trying to take a portion of that already, and we've got to utilize that smart and make a good effort at managing that. We need to set it aside to start with, set some groups together, and really fill out what we can best do with that money when it does arrive.
All right, thank you, sir.
And we are now up to our last question for these candidates for Escambia County Commission, District 5. And first to you, Mr. Mitchell, what is your assessment of the availability of public transportation in the northern part of the county?
Well, it's weak. I think we have one bus that travels through, and I have quite a few comments on that in the last 6 months, and we need to make an effort to improve that. More stops if possible. That's came up quite often, and I think we certainly need to make an effort to better serve the people in District 5, and that's what I plan to do.
All right, thank you. And now, Mr. Berry, your thoughts on the availability of public transportation in the northern part of the county.
I did get to see this up close and personal this week. I actually made a trip on the Route 60 that went from 9 Mile Road north to Century and then turned back to 9 Mile Road. I took the midday trip on Monday, which was not very well ridden, a half dozen riders both ways. And that was in comparison on Tuesday morning. I rode from the ECAP facility to Pensacola State College at that terminal drop off and back to the facility, and there were 70 people on the bus. There are a tremendous amount of routes that are in the city. It's utilized much more where there are more routes. With that being the only route that runs north of 9.5 Mile Road, there are a couple routes that are terminal at the University of West Florida, but the only one that goes further north than that is Route 60, and I think we could get more participation if there was more availability.
All right, thank you.
And now each candidate has 45 seconds to make a closing statement, and Mr. Mitchell, this time we begin with you.
We want to thank WSRE, the League of Women Voters, and most of all the people that are watching tonight. You have an opportunity to make a decision for District 5. I've been committed to this county, to this district for 40 years, passionate about it, been a proven leader in a lot of organizations, and need your help. Need your vote, need your support. We've got a little over a week left, and the right decision to better Escambia County and to better District 5 to vote Packy Mitchell November 6th. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And now your closing statement in 45 seconds, Mr. Berry.
All right, thank you. First, I'd like to thank WSRE and the League of Women Voters for the opportunity to come again. Next, I'd like to thank my friends and neighbors of District 5. Through your support, through your help, through your votes, we were able to advance from the August primary, and I'm here tonight to ask for your help again. I need your support, I need your votes. On November 6th, in the general election or before, my cell phone number is 341-2424. It's on all my campaign literature. If there's anything you'd like to know, please reach out. Allow me the opportunity to earn your vote. Thank you very much. Please vote Stephen Berry.
Thank you, and those were the candidates for Escambia County Commission District 5.
You're watching Rally 2012 here on WSRE TV. We've met a number of candidates tonight, and we've taken a look at some of the constitutional amendments which are on the ballot. Another item on the ballot concerns merit retention of judges, and many of you may be wondering, what is this all about and how your vote will make a difference?
Well, here's some information for you. In the mid-70s, Florida voters approved a constitutional amendment requiring that the merit system rather than contested elections be used for all appellate judges. These judges and Supreme Court justices are appointed to office by the governor.
And you, the voters, will determine whether they will remain on the bench. Every 6 years in nonpartisan elections, you are asked to vote yes or no on each judge or justice who is on the ballot.
So what does your yes or no vote mean? Simply, a yes vote means you want the judge or justice to stay in office. A no vote means that you don't. You would like for them to be removed from office. The majority vote decides that race.
And this year there are 3 state Supreme Court justices and 15 appeals court judges who will be voted on for merit retention.
And if you would like more information before going to the polls to vote, you can find the judges and justices' voting records and videos of them at work at www.floridabar.org/the votes in your court. Still to come, the candidates for ECUA District 1. Also, there are still 3 more amendments on the ballot that you need to know about.
Right now, here's Rosemary Hayes Thomas of the League of Women Voters, Pensacola Bay Area, with information on those.
I'm Rosemary Hayes Thomas, co-president of the League of Women Voters of the Pensacola Bay Area. On our November 6th ballot, there are 11 amendments to our state constitution, all placed on the ballot by the state legislature rather than by citizen initiative. A 60% margin is required for passage. Amendment 1 started as an attempt to exempt Florida from the individual mandate in the Affordable Care Act. It was placed on the ballot before the Supreme Court decided that this individual mandate is constitutional. Passage or defeat of this amendment may now have no practical consequences. It is a way of speaking up in support of the new law or against it, and it would add language to our Constitution that could be found unconstitutional if a suit were brought. Amendment 3 would implement a new and much more restrictive formula for calculating Florida's revenue cap, the amount of money the state can collect. Revenue collections have never exceeded the cap that is calculated with the present formula. Amendment 10 concerns the tax paid on tangible personal property used to operate a business or to earn income. Currently, the first $25,000 of the value of these items is exempt from taxation. This amendment would double that exemption. Amendment 12 concerns student membership on the Board of Governors, the highest body overseeing our university system. Currently, the 12 Student Government Association presidents are members of the Florida Student Association, and that group's president sits on the BOG. This amendment would form a new council to which all universities must belong. The student representative to the Board of Governors would be chosen from this council, but the amendment does not specify how the student would be selected. For more detailed, nonpartisan information about the constitutional amendments and the merit retention process, please download the Florida League's Voter Guide. Just log on to thefloridavoter.org, the website for the League of Women Voters of Florida. Scroll down to the 2012 Voter Guide section and click on Download. In a few moments, the guide will appear on your computer screen. When you scroll down to the Amendments section, you will see a synopsis of each amendment plus an explanation of what a vote of yes or no would mean. We hope you will find this information useful as you prepare to vote.
Welcome back. It's time now for the final race that is being brought to you on Rally 2012, the race for ECUA District 1.
There are 2 candidates who will be receiving questions tonight, a Republican candidate and a candidate with no party affiliation.
And it's time now to introduce those candidates who are seated in alphabetical order. Now this time, they are seated alphabetically by first name since the candidates have the same last name.
Elizabeth Susan Campbell is running with no party affiliation, and Elizabeth is the incumbent.
Good evening.
Vicki Campbell, Vicki H.L. Campbell, is running on the Republican ticket. Ladies, welcome to you both.
Thank you. And we are going to begin the questions with you, Elizabeth Campbell. And question number 1, the septic tank law, which would have required inspection of septic tanks every 5 years, was repealed by the Florida legislature. What impact will this have on ECUA's obligation to protect our water supply? And you have 45 seconds.
Thank you. Really, it doesn't change our obligation to protect our water supply. It's pretty much been the same. We currently have a sewer expansion program that allows those on septic tanks to hook up to sewers so that the problem of septic systems that are failing is alleviated by hooking them up to sewers. We've already completed projects down in Navy Point and the Lakewood area around the bayous. And we always work toward bringing more folks online with our sewer system to minimize the need for standard septic systems in our county.
All right, thank you. And the question goes now to you, Vicki Campbell. The septic tank law, which would have required inspection of septic tanks every 5 years, was repealed by the Florida legislature. What impact will that have on ECUA's obligation to protect our water supply?
Our beautiful waterways are one of our greatest assets here in Escambia County, but pollutants threaten our marine life, and some of those pollutants come from leaching septic tanks. However, a law was put into effect a couple of years ago for inspections, and there was an outcry from the people that it was too costly, so they repealed the law. And I do think we need to continue to expand our sewer systems towards the waterways mainly, and we have been doing that, so that's a good thing. But I don't think we need to penalize owners with the law again. So just continue to expand towards the waterways would be how I would go about it.
All right, thank you very much. And now our second question will go first to Vicki Campbell. While natural gas is an abundant fuel source in the United States, many people are concerned about the environmental damage caused by its extraction. And now, given ECUA's use of compressed natural gas, what do you think should be ECUA's position on this issue?
Well, I think environmentally conscious communities are magnets for new businesses moving into communities like Escambia County. We are in need of economic development. At the same time, we want to take care of our environment. So I think that we need to pay particular attention to how we use the natural gas. I do think it is a wonderful thing that we have converted our trucks to natural gas. I do think it's nice that we have the station to save our ratepayers money, but we do always need to be environmentally safe and make sure that we abide by all environmental laws.
All right, thank you very much. And now to you, Ms. Elizabeth Campbell. Many people are concerned about the environmental damage caused by the extraction of natural gas. Given ECUA's use of CNG or compressed natural gas, what do you think the agency's position should be?
Well, we will obviously clearly continue to use compressed natural gas as it's extremely economical. It's saved us a good deal of money, and it is also environmentally friendly for this area. However, the extraction of it, of course, does pose hazards to the environment in the areas where the fracking or the extraction is occurring. There are regulations in place to monitor that. Anytime we use any type of a natural resource, there will be an impact to the environment, and I think our goal needs to be to minimize whatever that impact is. The CNG has allowed us to expand sanitation program while lowering rates 5% in the last 4 years. So it's something we need to continue to use and expand.
All right, thank you.
All right, question number 3 now goes first to Elizabeth Campbell. Please comment on ECUA's role in relation to the problem of the toxic plume, which is moving from the former Agrico plant and spreading throughout East Hill neighborhoods. You have 45 seconds.
Thank you. Well, it is crucial, and it is part of our mission at ECUA to provide clean water to our ratepayers. And part of that involves monitoring our wells. We have a state-of-the-art, modern new lab. It is a state-certified lab. We test our water on a frequent and regular basis, not only at the wellheads, but at taps as well, because there could be possible contamination at some point between the wellhead and folks' taps. We also have carbon filters on our wells, in addition to our close monitoring of the wells. Our primary focus needs to be to continue to monitor the wells and use the filters as they are needed.
All right, thank you. And the question now goes to you, Vicki Campbell. Please comment on ECUA's role in relation to the problem of the toxic plume that is moving from the former Agrico plant and spreading throughout East Hill neighborhoods.
I'm very aware of the toxic plume. I actually did the title work on that toxic plume back in the 80s, and I think we need to keep a close watch on the plume and its movement. And I think we need absolute transparency with the population and surrounding that area as to what goes on there, and it needs to be tested on a regular basis for the fluoride content in the ground there.
All right, thank you. And Vicki Campbell, you will get this question first. How would you rate ECUA's expansion of municipal sewer systems in Escambia County? Vicki, you first.
Well, I think it's good that you asked this question. I went to the board meeting last night, and I know that in the past the sewer systems have been expanded in areas towards the waterways, and that's obviously because that's where they are needed the most, so that we can clean up around our waterways. But I asked one of the board members last night, how do they decide where these are going to be expanded in the future? Is there a list? Does somebody know where they are on that list? And I was told by a board member that it is kind of the squeaky wheel gets the oil, and I don't think that's the way it should be. I think there should be a plan of where the sewer is going to be expanded, and I think the people should know the plan.
All right, thank you. And to now, Ms. Elizabeth Campbell, how would you rate ECUA's expansion of municipal sewer systems in the county?
Well, when you look at expanding the sewer system, of course, you also have to consider not only the fact that you're expanding into areas and offering the service to new people, but the fact that there is a cost to providing new service, that when we expand the infrastructure, we have to put the money up front. So it's a balance between where there's a need and, of course, the cost for providing that new service to that area. The critical areas, of course, down around our waterways have primarily been addressed at this point. And I believe that we need to look now into other areas that may have septic tanks which are chronic problems, and address those areas next, since we've primarily finished with our waterways.
All right, thank you.
All right, and now we are up to the last question that we are going to be posing to the candidates for ECUA District 1, and we will begin with you, Elizabeth Campbell. The ECUA has adopted annual rate increases pointing to the need to repair crumbling infrastructure. Will you vote to continue these rate increases, and if not, how would you pay for upgrades?
Yes, we have had increases in the past 3 years. It was predicted that we would have 8%, 8%, and 8% over the course of 3 years, and we actually ended up with 8, 7, and this year 4.25% increase, which was almost half of what was actually predicted 3 years ago. So I think we've been really very prudent fiscally in looking at these rate increases. We have a consent decree from the EPA, and I sincerely believe that by voting for rate increases in the past 3 years was evidence of good faith on our part to invest in the needed repairs to the infrastructure. And when the EP came in, we got a very favorable 16-year consent decree, and we really dodged a bullet on that one.
All right, thank you. And the question now to you, Vicki Campbell. The ECUA has adopted annual rate increases pointing to the need to repair crumbling infrastructure. Will you vote to continue these rate increases? And if not, how would you pay for the upgrades?
Well, I'll vote no on any rate hike until we first look within to see if we can trim any fat before we stick our hand out to the ratepayers again. Rates going up is inevitable, and it will happen again in the future. So I'm not saying that I would never raise a rate. But what I'm saying is we are stewards of the people's money, and we owe it to the people to look within to see if we can trim any fat within before we stick our hand out to the ratepayers. So I believe we do need to repair our crumbling infrastructure, but we first need to see if we can trim the fat within at ECUA and then stick our hand out to the ratepayers.
All right, and Ms. Elizabeth Campbell, you have indicated that you have a rebuttal statement. You have 30 seconds.
Yes, I believe that the fact that we had only a 4.25% rate increase this year is clear evidence that we have been cutting the fat. We need to be careful. If we cut much further, we run the risk of violating our consent decree with the EPA, and if that happens, we face heavy fines and the possibility of double-digit rate increases rather than just single-digit rate increases.
All right, thank you, candidates. And now it's time for your closing statements. And Ms. Vicki Campbell, this time we will begin with you, 45 seconds.
Thank you. I'd like to thank everybody first for tuning in tonight. If you're watching this at 9 o'clock on a Friday night, you really care about the candidates, and that's nice. And I thank you, WSRE and PJC, for having us out on Friday night. I want to tell you that if I am elected, I will not take this job for granted. I will work very hard for the next 4 years. I've already in the last 8 months met with every board member at least once, if not 3 or 4 times. I've met with the administrative staff, the attorney, many of our citizens that are ratepayers for ECUA, many of the businesses that are ratepayers for ECUA, and I am very aware of a lot of the issues, and I will work very hard for you, and I would like to have new leadership and new solutions, and I'd like to be that leader. Vote Vicki on November 6th.
Thank you. And now to you, Elizabeth Campbell, your closing statement. You too have 45 seconds.
Thank you. I've truly enjoyed serving the citizens in District 1 in the last 4 years. I believe that I've stayed true to my fiscal conservative roots. We reduced that rate increase, as I mentioned earlier, almost cut in half what was predicted. Our recycling programs that have been initiated, our new CNG fleet, our partnership with the City of Pensacola in that endeavor have allowed ECUA to expand their sanitation programs. We now have household hazardous waste picked up curbside. We've got free weekly pickup of bulky items. And the rates now are actually for sanitation 5% lower than they were when I took office 4 years ago. The county's cleaner, greener, and leaner. I'm very proud to have been a small part of this. I ask you to vote for Elizabeth Susan Campbell and join all my friends out there in Avondale, my little ones, and voting for me November 6th. Thank you.
Thank you. And that is going to do it for this edition of Rally 2012. It's been an interesting and fun couple of nights, and we certainly hope that you have enjoyed meeting the candidates and that you've become familiar with some of the other items that are going to be on the ballot November 6th.
And a reminder that you can watch Rally again online at WSRE TV beginning tomorrow. I'm Sandra Averhart.
And I'm Drexel Gilbert. Along with WSRE TV and the League of Women Voters, Pensacola Bay Area and Okaloosa County, we thank you for making Rally 2012 a part of your voting experience. Have a great evening.